Hi everyone, it's me Giovanni, and in the last video I mentioned um, um, at the end that I wanted to talk about something later that I had in mind about my character being how she looks now, and about a little retcon involving Afmao and Aaron, some age gap, and what I thought of. Well, I made a few videos talking about Afmau's new videos, and more specifically two videos involving Afmau finding Aaron and his like werewolf secret. Eh. Yeah, both of them. Well, the first one, the Dark Ultima secret thing, the Dark Werewolf secret. It was already a werewolf, but your werewolf boyfriend having a dark secret. Yeah, that video movie, it was not that. It wasn't what the title and thumbnail had in mind. It was more of some of the times Afmao passed out and then woke up in somewhere else. Yeah, and it was actually the first video that introduced Xena, which is nice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, not that interesting. And also, Xena had a raspy voice. Like, I don't know what kind of voice she was doing. Like, are you trying to sound like Maria? Because it sounds like crap. It sounds like crap. But anyway, the second video involving Afmao finding Aaron and his Ultima werewolf secret actually involved him being a werewolf as his secret, and it also involved the Guardian Forces, which is okay. And they try to kill Aaron, which is really bizarre, gruesome. But thankfully, Aaron and Afmao managed to overcome it, and thankfully everything's back to normal. But Afmao's mother, Savannah, was completely clueless about what the Guardian Forces were actually doing, like, seriously. Yeah, both of those videos are really bizarre, but the first one didn't have that much of a secret or what was even going on. It was absolutely convoluted and confusing. But you know what? So I reworked my character's look, her appearance, mostly due to her hair. But then I saw that Aaron and Afmau's age gap was changed to be 2 years. So that's good at least, even though, like I said, a 4-year age gap is nothing to complain about. But still, people complained about it regardless and thought that Aaron was grooming Afmau, which is completely not true. I don't know where people come up with this shit. But anyway, so I thought of my own movie involving Afmau finding now Aaron is secretly a werewolf as a secret. So I thought about this, and you know what? Considering that season 7 and season 8 of MyStreet are still on the way, they're coming soon, and that's fine. We have to be patient about it. And you know what? It doesn't matter. I can wait. I then thought of my character and what I did with her and her story. It was all too much, especially since I can barely remember some of it. But I do remember certain characters that are part of her story, and their storyline involved with her as well. So, Yeah, I can remember most of it, but the rest, not really. So I then thought of this. It doesn't involve my character yet, but I then thought of my character and that her outfit, the black and white sailor dress, would um throughout the Victorian era to the 1940s. Her wearing this dress would basically be the main dress that she wears for almost every time period. The Victorian era to the 2000s. Yeah, definitely. And I looked it up, and nautical clothing was still a thing during the 1990s. Thank God. But anyway, so since her hair's um, it's long hair without bangs, since it's mostly part, it was mostly in the late 1960s, but was mostly a thing during the 1970s. I thought, you know what? Why don't we just rework everything of my character and MyStreet as a whole? Instead of taking place in the 1960s or the 2000s to 2010s. Sorry. Um, Instead, it would take place in the early to mid 1970s. Yeah, 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 definitely. Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The early, the early to mid 1970s, and the 1970s was a very evolutionary time, but it was mostly um, in a positive way. There were some issues like inflation due to the economy, not the inflation thing that I um anyway, um yeah, inflation, one of the important parts of certain time periods. Yeah, the economy, um gas prices rising, yeah, those pretty much one of the flaws that I had with the 70s. But basically, things were sort of revolutionary. The hippie movement, um, acceptance, civil rights, and surprisingly, I found this out just now, that the 70s was nicknamed the me decade, which I find hilarious, but honestly, really nice. I like it. The me decade. It sounds so. It sounds kind of funny, but interesting. Anyway, I would feel like um. So if my street was remade or reworked or like taking place in an alternate universe, I would want to. If I was in control of my street, I don't wanna be absolutely spirited about it or anything else, because I don't wanna hurt Aphmau, Jess and Jason some what they do. But if I had to make a story about my street where it took place in a certain time period, or where I would I would not I would remove everything that happened, like Emerald Secret, Angel's Falls, and just make the story a more peaceful, surreal, um, really calm version of that story, removing all the dark elements that came in those subsequent seasons of My Street. Um, so in this, like, I don't know, retcon or alternate universe story, instead, Avmount discovers Aaron as a werewolf early on in her life. So this is movie. My boyfriend is secretly a werewolf. 90 minutes. Yup, 90 minutes. Story. At Phoenix Drop High, Afmau, a 15-year-old Latino-American girl with raven black hair and amber brown eyes, fell in love with the mysterious loner Aaron Lycan, a 17-year-old guy with black hair, dark brown eyes, and tan skin. When they first met, or at least bumped into each other, Afmau was trying to take a selfie on her phone, which is very similar to the original. They didn't get along, but a few weeks later, I'm pretty sure that's the time span of when they actually know that they were online friends, back in episode 21 of Phoenix Drop High season 1. Canonically, I don't know how much time took for Aaron and Afmau to actually discover that they were online friends and actually officially become best friends, but maybe a few weeks, I'll say. Later, realized when they were both in the music room that they actually knew each other online when Afmau was in middle school. Aaron apologizes to her for his rude behavior, and Afmau forgives him, but wonders why he's such a loner. Officially becoming best friends. One night at Afmau, Aaron and a few students and teachers were staying late after school. Don't ask. Afmau grabbed her stuff from her locker, and then she texts Aaron, online persona, free company, or FC, ready to go home. Aaron texts her to wait outside the music room. When Afmau gets to the music room, she hears strange noises, growls, and scratching. Afmau opens the door slightly open to see the room mostly dark with a dim light in the middle of the room, and Aaron on the floor. Before Afmau can react, Aaron's form begins to change before her eyes. His skin ripples unnaturally. His eyes glint a feral amber, and coarse black fur sprouts across his body. He struggles between his human and wolf forms. Growling in frustration and fear, Afmau backs away, runs out of the school, and rushes back home, frightened, and begins to cry. That's basically the prompt that I had for the story in ChatGPT. Here's a way your story movie outline could expand that into a full 90-minute teen romance horror drama. I actually like this. Teen horror romance drama? Who doesn't like that? And so I thought of this earlier today, that there would be an original character named JC. JC is also a real person who's a fan of Afmau. She would be a childhood best friend to Aaron, who knew about his werewolf condition, and she would replace both Melissa and Lucinda as combined into one person, being JC. JC was born a witch and is a childhood friend of Aaron, knowing him since they were really young, and the only friend that Aaron had ever since. And yeah, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, or not. Please stay safe. Please stay at home. You know the rest. Bye.